Have you ever wondered why the most meaningful victories often come only after the hardest battles? Why is it that pain and progress seem so intertwined, and why nobody talks about the grind behind the glory? Today we're going to uncover a truth seldom shared. You need to suffer before you succeed. Because behind every breakthrough is a moment, sometimes long, sometimes brutal, where you're tested. And how you show up in those moments shapes everything that follows. But first, stick around until the end, because I'm going to share a story of someone who didn't just survive suffering. They used it to rise far beyond what anyone expected. I remember hearing about Sarah, a teacher who lost her dream job and hit rock bottom. She was building a nonprofit after school but faced constant rejections. Every no chiseled away at her hope. One night, exhausted and doubting everything, she almost walked away for good. But the next morning, after tears, she decided to keep going, despite everything. That decision was the turning point. It didn't immediately fix anything. Instead, it opened a door to persistence she didn't know she had. That moment, stepping into what she feared rather than running from it, was when the real work began. And what happened next? Not overnight success, but small shifts. One volunteer became two. One friend joined the mission. Slowly, people believed her. And today, that nonprofit supports hundreds of students each month. What changed wasn't luck. It was rediscovering purpose in pain. Sarah let her suffering sharpen her mission instead of dulling it. That's the first lesson. Suffering sharpens purpose. When life pushes back, it can either break you or refine you. Choosing to stay in the fight, even when nothing is working, helps you see exactly why you began. Now, before I tell you more about Sarah's journey, let's zoom out and look at a legend whose life was also built on struggle. Think of someone like Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school team, twice. Many would have quit, but he used that rejection as fuel. Every greatness begins somewhere, often in moments of loss. In Jordan's early days, he practiced harder than anyone before him. He didn't just play the game. He memorized it, replayed mistakes, rewrote them into lessons. His suffering didn't stop him. It turned into obsession, and that obsession created excellence. That's our second lesson. Self-discipline is born in hardship. When every shot you miss reminds you why you need to keep going, you begin to build habits worth repeating. Sarah's and Jordan's stories show us that suffering is more than pain. It's training. But that training only becomes powerful when we put something into motion. So here's the third turning point. Associate suffering with growth. It sounds strange, but it works. We rarely endure pain, real pain, for something that doesn't matter. When you connect pain to purpose, you unlock consistency. Consider this. After Jordan's high school cut, he could have decided basketball wasn't for him. Instead, he made every missed shot, every defeat, a reason to train harder. He didn't just play to win, he played to solve. Each practice session wasn't about ego. It was about fixing weaknesses. That strategy works every time, whether it's push-ups, emails, chapter drafts, or quiet mornings before sunrise. When the reward lives on the other side of sacrifice, sacrifices become stepping stones. Now here's the twist not many talk about. Suffering builds identity and community. In the early 1900s, long before social media, workers in new factories struggled through brutal shifts. They formed bonds, sharing every strike, every failure, every triumph. That shared suffering stitched them into communities that demanded fairness, dignity, respect. Their united voices changed industries. Today, your struggle might feel invisible, but it can still connect you. Share the messiness of building. That vulnerability attracts people who believe in keys, not cracks. When you go public about hard days, you meet those who've been through them too. And from strangers come your strongest supporters. If suffering sharpens purpose, builds discipline, and creates mass, the final truth is this. Suffering changes beliefs about what's possible. When you push through fear, shame, failure, or even endless waiting, you rewrite your map of limits. You learn that limits aren't walls. They're places you haven't stepped beyond yet. This last insight is the climax. Each time you survive something hard, your brain gains new data. You thought you couldn't write that book? You wrote a chapter. You thought you couldn't run a 5K? You crossed the finish line? You thought you couldn't start that business? You sent the first pitch. Your mind didn't change, but your reality changed. And there, right there, you transform. So if you've ever felt like suffering meant something was wrong with you, here's the truth. The problem wasn't the pain. The problem was pretending it wasn't there. The choice isn't whether you suffer. The choice is what you let it become. Choose for clarity. Choose for strength. Choose for purpose. Because suffering isn't the price tag, it's the entry point. Now, if this hit home, if you've faced your own seasons of hardship and chosen to stay, you're part of something bigger. Subscribe to Wake Up and Conquer for more grounded, honest motivation built on truth, not hype. Share your story in the comments. What challenge did you turn into purpose? Because the next time life tests you, I want you to remember that suffering is not the end. It's the spark.